We all recognize that housing is a basic need. But today, the housing market just doesn't work for everyone. Many people can't afford the type of housing they need, and some can't afford a home at all. Canada used to have a strong housing system that ensured everyone had a home. Much like our healthcare system, the housing system was there for all. Public housing served where the housing market failed. But in the past few decades, public funding for housing has dropped significantly. The future of the housing sector is uncertain. We asked about 100 housing stakeholders what factors they thought would have the greatest impact in shaping the future. Overwhelmingly, the two biggest factors they identified were government engagement and community support.
Governments can make a huge difference in the housing sector. Singapore is a shining example of this. Public housing in Singapore is not a last-ditch effort to house the most vulnerable. It is a permanent solution for the majority of residents. 82% of people live in public housing in Singapore. Government not only builds public housing, but it also passes policies and provides grants to make housing affordable. When a person or a couple is ready to purchase a home, they can tap into a central home ownership fund that all employers and their employees contribute into. They may get up to 20% of their down payment covered by a government grant, and if they choose to live close to family members, they may even get more in incentives. Imagine if we had this level of government engagement in Canada.
Community support is the other factor that determines whether public housing thrives or dies. In cities like Amsterdam and Vienna, communities support public housing because it creates better neighborhoods. It is the norm to see public housing mixed in with market housing. The mix contributes positively to the neighborhood's diversity, inclusivity, and vibrancy. Research from these cities shows that effective public housing improves societal outcomes around health, education, and economy. As a result, governments consistently invest both money and political capital in public housing without fear of disrupting the private housing market or losing voter support. Imagine if Canadians stood just as strongly behind public housing.
Our nation's housing future could look very different depending on what directions we choose. With government and community support, the future looks bright. Without them, the future is bleak.
We all play a part in determining the future of public housing in Canada. What future do we want? You choose.